When officials were lecturing, the young students stared directly into their faces and even refuted them on the spot, shocking the officials profoundly. But let's reconsider. Could it be that the educational commissioners misjudged the situation and made a mountain out of a molehill? Not necessarily. Years of American education had indeed westernized many students to the point of abandoning their roots. Take Rong Kui, for example, nephew of Young Wing, who came to America at age 12. In 1880, 19-year-old Ron Kuei wrote home declaring his conversion to Christianity. He even started dating a local girl 6 years his junior, behavior considered utterly scandalous and culturally treasonous at the time. Upon receiving the letter, Rong's father flew into rage and immediately demanded his son's repatriation through the Education Bureau. Seizing this opportunity, the Bureau officials used it as evidence to recommend terminating the entire program to the imperial court. Their official stance, these rootless youths showed no respect for authority and couldn't be expected to achieve greatness. Even if educated, these non-traditional youths would struggle to serve the imperial system effectively. This termination proposal threw Young Wing, the program's architect, into desperate action to salvage his life's work. At this critical juncture, over 50 students had already entered top American universities. Forcing them home now would mean wasting years of investment and potential. Young raced across America seeking allies to reverse this decision, though options were limited. He eventually persuaded Yale President Porter to write the Qing government, emphasizing the program's value. President Porter's letter stated, "Your students have shown remarkable dedication, achieving excellence across academic disciplines. The news of their recall brings profound regret. This is their most crucial developmental phase, like carefully cultivated trees about to bear fruit. Shall we destroy them at the verge of success? A tragedy? Undoubtedly." Even Li Hongzhang recognized the loss, yet chose not to intervene forcefully, for reasons left unspoken. At first, Zhang Gufan had already passed away by then, leaving Li Hongzhang alone, struggling against conservative forces in the imperial court. More importantly, he was dissatisfied with what the students learned in America. It failed to meet his original purpose for sending them abroad. Li's original plan was for students to attend military academies and naval schools. If military studies proved impossible, engineering would be the alternative. When the program began in 1872, Li told American diplomat Frederick Lowe they chose America for its practical education superiority over Europe. At the program's inception, Li instructed Young Wing to write to Yale University. The university president confirmed China's priority fields: military science, navigation, medicine, law, and architectural engineering. However, when graduates entered American colleges, none were admitted to military institutions. Growing anti-Chinese sentiment on the West Coast made military academy admissions particularly difficult for foreigners. This failure to access military education severely compromised Li's core objectives. To compensate, Li had to send new students to European countries like Britain and France for military training. Consequently, his enthusiasm for the American program significantly diminished. In 1881, the imperial court submitted a memorial requesting immediate recall of all overseas students. The same day, the emperor approved, with the same four-character edict used to originally authorize the program. Approved per proposal. Thus, the 15-year program was abruptly terminated in its 10th year. All students except two who defied the order were forced to return to China. When this occurred, the New York Times published an editorial dated July 23, 1881. The article remains profoundly insightful even today. It stated, "The Qing government believed these state-funded students should only study engineering, mathematics, and natural sciences, remaining indifferent to political and social influences around them. an utterly absurd expectation. China couldn't simply import knowledge, science, and industrial models from us. Americans even asserted that without political reforms, China's study abroad program would ultimately fail to achieve the imperial court's objectives. The much anticipated study abroad program became an embarrassment. Constrained by tradition, it never gained genuine social support. The Qing government's contradictory hope, Western knowledge with traditional mental confinement, proved unattainable. And, compounded by America's failure to facilitate military education, the program was ultimately terminated. With the program failing imperial expectations, what fate awaited these returnees? This leads to my third historical account. As recalled by returnee Wang Kai-ka, their homecoming journey was tragically humiliating. Arriving in Shanghai expecting fanfare, they found empty docks, transported by wheelbarrows through mocking crowds. At customs headquarters, they were confined to a decaying academy, forbidden from leaving. The academy hadn't opened in a decade. Rotten windows, plank beds on stools. No triumphant return. These Western-educated youths were immediately imprisoned in their homeland. The Qing government did honor its promise. The Foreign Office arranged their assignments. 70 students entered Li Hongzhang's Beiyang system. 41 joined naval forces, Beiyang Fleet, Guangdong Navy, Fujian Arsenal, becoming China's first modern naval officers. Tragically, they witnessed naval defeats rather than achieving glory. In 1883, French warships entered Minjiang River under commercial pretext, seeking control of Taiwan Strait. On August 23rd, within 30 minutes of combat, the entire Fujian fleet was annihilated. The Naval Academy and shipyard were completely destroyed. 6 returned students participated in this battle. 4 perished, 3 of whom were MIT graduates. An even more devastating defeat occurred during the Sino-Japanese War, a direct confrontation between the two nations. Both sides deployed Western military equipment and tactics, with dozens of Western-educated commanders on each side. In a sense, this naval battle represented the first direct clash between China and Japan's Western-educated elites. It symbolized the final showdown in their decades-long race toward modernization and Westernization. As history records, many returned students in their prime perished during this conflict. Shun Shoucheng, aboard G1, became the first casualty. A shell fragment tore through his skull, scattering brain matter and blood on comrades. Chen Jingli drowned with Deng Shicheng. Huang Zulian was blown apart by artillery fire on Guanbing. The war's outcome obliterated Li Hongzhang's decades of military modernization efforts. Returned students in the Navy met varied fates: death, capture, or bureaucratic neglect, becoming casualties of failed reform. Yet beyond the military, few survivors achieved distinction, none more than Zhan Tianya. This railway engineer's Beijing-Zhangjiakou railway project became legendary. Zhan's success contained elements of fortune. When the program terminated in 1881, only 2 had completed degrees, Zhan being one. Having studied civil engineering at Yale, he soon applied his knowledge building China's railways. In 1906, while overseeing the Beijing-Zhangjiakou project, Zhan wrote to Mrs. Norse, his former host parent during American schooling. He declared in the letter, "China must build its railways with Chinese funds, as if I've become China's finest engineer. And all Chinese and foreigners closely watch my work. Failure would disgrace not just me, but all Chinese engineers and our nation's credibility." Zhan Tianyo ultimately succeeded. The Beijing-Zhangjiakou Railway was completed 2 years ahead of schedule, with 280,000 taels of silver remaining from the budget. At the opening ceremony, the usually stoic engineer displayed American-style humor. When asked which section posed the greatest challenge during construction, Zhan replied, "My speech today." Another high achiever was Tang Shaoyi, a third-wave student who attended Columbia University before being recalled unfinished. Post-return, He worked as a translator at Tianjin's customs office. His crisis management skills in Korea forged lifelong friendship with Yuan Shikai. After 1900, Yuan appointed him chief diplomat of the Biang administration. Tang modernized Tianjin's foreign affairs, taxation, and founded telegraph schools. His diplomatic prowess earned him fame, culminating as China's first premier in 1912. Though rare survivors like Zan and Tang became beacons proving study abroad's necessity and vital importance. The 1901 new policies sparked provincial study abroad programs nationwide. Whereas no Manchu nobles joined Zhang or Li's program, now aristocrats clamored to go overseas. Bannermen and official sons now competed fiercely for study opportunities. In 1904, Minister Liang Cheng secured U.S. agreement to reduce Boxer indemnity funds. The 1907 congressional approval stipulated funds for Chinese students in America, origin of Tsinghua University. In 1909, new scholars retraced the original students' route across America. Arriving in Springfield, Massachusetts, they were greeted by Christian convert Rong Kui, the scandalous American bridegroom. With this, the story of the Chinese educational mission draws to a close. In the short term, this program failed, became collateral damage of the self-strengthening movement. But long term, it succeeded, not just producing figures like Shan Tianyu and Tang Xiaohui, but pioneering China's study abroad tradition. This path hasn't always been smooth, sometimes blocked entirely. Studying abroad was China's first step toward global integration, its setbacks mirroring the nation's arduous modernization journey. This concludes our exploration of the Chinese educational mission.